What up, Dokkanners? The part 2 Golden Week celebration is basically halfway through, a little over halfway through. We just got a couple more events left over that are going to be dropping very, very soon. We've got the new Dragon Ball story event that's going to be dropping on the 22nd. We've got the support memory boost function release celebration that will be dropping for global. This JP is not going to be having because they've already had this, but they will be getting this because neither version has had this. Behold, support memory boost. This might be an event that will allow you to boost a brand new support memory that neither version has thus far. And then we've also got Extreme Super Battle Road. So that pretty much sums up the rest of Golden Week 2023. And then after that, it's moving on to Global's exclusive celebration, JP's next celebration. Not exclusive, but Global's next celebration, JP moves on to theirs. For us, the next celebration is going to be Super 17, followed by Super Boost. So in today's video, we're going to be doing another updated stone count for how many stones we can earn leading up until the 8-year anniversary, because after this, after the upcoming part 1 part 2 Dokkan Festival and Legendary Summon, it is 8-year anniversary time, baby, which means y'all should be having a ton of stones saved up by then. Some of y'all might have spent some of your stones, understandably so, during the Golden Week celebration. I can't blame you. Part 1 was pretty enticing with the Dragon Ball Saga if you're a fan of Dragon Ball Saga. Some people were not, so for those of you who didn't summon at all, you're in a really good position. Those of you who did will have some time to gain some stones back. And then don't forget, above all else, during the actual 8-year anniversary, you're going to be earning a ton of stones. I think it's around like 800, 900, 1,000 stones you're going to be earning during the anniversary itself. So it's not like it's game over if you're going into the anniversary with like 150 stones and you think it's, you know, it's this, you're not going to be able to do anything. You're going to be getting a ton of stones. So let's go through and do an approximation for how many stones we could be earning for this one. It's updated because I actually went in and I did a little bit more digging on the super boost side, because this one is a little bit rough on my previous go at the estimation stuff. So one thing I want to remind you guys about when it comes to all of this, calculation errors will occur. I always like to underestimate my stone counts because that way, you know, if whenever we undershoot, we'll always over exceed expectations at that point. You never want to be like overestimating, you know, a ridiculous amount of stones, and then you actually get to that point, you don't get nearly as much. So I always undercut when it comes to the stone count. Extra stones will not be counted. If you're a brand new player, you have a lot more stones to gain than players who have already done all of the content. I will only be counting events that have been, or that are releasing for the first time. Events that have come back, I will not count. So if you yourself are trying to follow along and you're a brand new player, you can count all those different events as more stones. You may not necessarily know how many you'd be getting, but just trust me when I say, if you are brand new and you haven't done like the story events and whatnot, you'll be earning a ton more stones. So that being said, let's jump in. So in my previous go at this updated Dragonstone count, I think we were right after Yamcha going into Golden Week. And at the time, we didn't know the, you know, the details of what the Golden Week celebration was going to be about. So these were approximations from the previous year. We're going to remove all of this from the calculations. So this will now fall into the don't count this category. So let me actually move this up here. And then we're going to color code all of this as red just to make sure that it is very clear this stuff doesn't count anymore. So all of these are no. All right. So moving down here, we got the pre-8-year Dokkan Festival celebration. So let's take a look at this celebration. Moving over to this right here. So Super 17 is the next dual Dokkan, or sorry, not dual Dokkan Festival, just regular Dokkan Festival. I said that because there's 2 of them. So let's take a look at the login bonus from the 5th until the 17th. That's 12 days. They could extend or change that for global, but like I said, this is an approximation. We're just going to keep it at 12. So there's 12 for the login. Then for the missions, there are 11 stones obtainable from these missions. I checked and verified via DokkanInfo.com. Shout out to Dokkan Info. So that gives us 11 for the missions. Then we've got the actual new Dokkan event itself, which gives you 2 Dragon Stones on account of there being 2 levels of difficulty. Then we get 6 Dragon Stones for the Extreme Z area. So the Ranch Kids and Casserole both are going to be EZAing during this Extreme Z area. You'll be able to earn 6 Dragon Stones from all that. Then you get 30-ish Dragon Stones from Ultimate Clash. So that's 6 and that's 30. Then we go to Peton Battle. Peton gives us 11 Dragon Stones. New missions for the Legendary Goku GT event. There are only 2 category missions that Global has yet to receive, and those are the ones that are the categories that Super 17 leads. Join Forces, Inhuman Deeds. That gives us 10 Dragon Stones. So if we go back here, we've got 11 plus 10. So let's include that. 11 plus 10. Then we go to the latter part of the celebration. We've got the MVP 17 Extreme Z Awakening. That gives you 34 Dragon Stones, 30 for the standard event progression, and then 4 more for the missions specified in order to get that Extreme Z Awakening. So 34. And then we get 8 Dragon Stones for an Extreme Super Battle Road. So 34 plus 8. And the final count comes from the Legendary Challenge campaign for Imperfect Cells Prime Battle. I don't know necessarily if we'll be getting this. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. I mean, like with all of this stuff, it's always subject to change. We are only just using the past as prologue for the sake of this video. So, you know, this gives you about 30 Dragon Stones all in all in terms of overall rewards, but it may happen, it may not happen. They might shift the schedule around. You never know. So, you know, keep that in mind. That being said, we add 30. That brings our total to part 1 as 154 Dragon Stones. That's how many stones you're going to be able to get approximately from the pre-8-year pre-8-year Dokkan Festival. And if you want to round that down, just make it 150 stones. Now moving on to part 2. For some reason, the Dokkan Wiki doesn't have the info for the campaign for part 2. So we're going to be using the new Dokkan Wiki to take a look at that, which is right here. This is the Cherry Blossom campaign. This is the part 2 for the Kale and Caulifla celebration. Part 2 gave us Super Boo. A lot of people very much thrown off by this, but still, there's some content to be extrapolated from this. So let's start with the logins and the special missions. So here, the logins start from the 1st of April and they go on until the 28th. But part 2 actually started on the 17th for JP. And this can be also further corroborated by the part 2 missions that started on the 17th itself. So if the entire celebration for Kale and Caulifla and Super Boo went from the 1st to the 28th, that's 27 days. But if this one were to start on the 17th, that means you basically have 11 or 10 days left over, meaning the login bonus would only give you 10 or 11 stones. So I factor that in here. So I'm just going to say 10 Dragon Stones. I'm rounding down because, like I said, I like to underestimate. So 10 Dragon Stones for the login missions, or yeah, the login stones. Then the special missions. I didn't know exactly how much, so I went to DokkanInfo.com and I took a look at the missions here. So we looked at the missions, all the part 1 missions. We're not counting those. We start from part 2. So part 2 is right here. First Dragon Stone comes right here, so that's 1. We get another Dragon Stone coming up here, that's 2, 3. And then 3 more, that's 6. So 6 Dragon Stones can be obtained from these special missions. Why so low? Because it's a part 2. It's kind of a tag-along add-on to the main celebration, so the missions aren't a whole lot. So that's 10 plus 6. So we get about 16 stones from logins and missions. Then we move on to the regular bulk of content. We scroll up to the top here. This was the summon itself. Legendary Summon doesn't require a new Dokkan event. This is a returning event. The Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks EZA, that doesn't count. This doesn't count. Burst Mode. Burst Mode gives you 7 Dragon Stones if you complete all of the necessary missions, up to 7 Dragon Stones. So we count the 7 right there. Then we scroll down. We got Chain Battle against Gotenks. So for this one, you can earn up to 20 Dragon Stones. Not all of you will be able to achieve it because it might be a little bit tough for some of you, depending on how many units you have, especially if you're new, it might be tougher. So 20 Dragon Stones can be obtained from that. 8 Dragon Stones from Extreme Super Battle Road. Always a nice one to get. 8 Dragon Stones. And the final piece of content that we get is Peton Battle, which is another 11 Dragon Stones. So all in all, that is 62 Dragon Stones. If we want to round all this down, we could do 150 and 60 to make this easier, because 154 plus 62 gives you 216. But you know, let's go ahead and just round that down. If we rounded this down to 150, rounded this down to 60, this would have been 210. So approximately 210 stones will be available until the 8-year anniversary, but it doesn't end there. There is one more piece of news worth mentioning, and I talked about this when Global received the Global Dokkan Producers Letter video. And in this, they talked about how there's going to be missions leading up until the 8-year anniversary. The Rapid Growth Special Missions where you can earn the Growth Badge 2. In that, we also are able to earn enough of these Growth Badges where we can exchange them for stones and Elder Kais, totaling to up to 60 Dragon Stones. So if we were to include that as well, that would obviously enhance our count quite a bit. So let's bring this down here, copy and paste it again. Okay, now let's change this to ba plus ba plus ba, and that gives us 270 Dragon Stones. So actually, more like 270 Dragon Stones approximately will be available from now until the 8-year anniversary. This is not counting anything else except for Celebration 1 and 2 and the 8-year anniversary countdown missions. And we are also purposely omitting this celebration and what's left over in it. So if you want to include this, you can. Let's just assume this gives you like 24 stones. That's usually how much a new Dragon Ball Story event will give. Let's just say 24 here. This, I don't know, gives you 5 stones, so 29 Dragon Stones. You could also include 8 stones from this, so that's 37 dragon stones. So that would bring your total to over 300. So approximately between now and the 8-year anniversary, all things included, and if you also want to include the remainder of part 2, you can earn about 8 or 300 more stones leading up until anniversary 8. And when you get to that point, you will then be able to earn about 1,000. So there is still a lot of stones to be gained. If you are somebody who feels like you're very low on your stone count, get started on saving. There's not a whole lot coming up in terms of hype. Again, some of you might be very excited for Super 17, which is totally fine. Some of you will be very excited for Super Boo, which is totally fine. But most of you are probably going to be skipping these banners on account of saving up for the anniversary and then also worldwide download. Now, I do want to mention this again. I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to say it again. Even if you are saving more for worldwide download, you can indulge a little bit during the anniversary. This is one of the 2 biggest celebrations of the year. You're going to be earning a ton of stones back. And if you're earning 1,000 stones and you're getting crazy discounts on your summons, along with some free summons that are given to you, you can do some summons. For example, use half the stones that you gained. If you gain 1,000 stones during the celebration, spend at least 500 of it during the anniversary. Live a little, you know? So there's still a lot to be gained. And then you're also going to have a sleeper Dokkan Fest in between. So don't worry, folks. Even if your stone count is very low right now, there is still a whole lot to be gained until the hype arrives. Don't worry. All right, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like down below. Let me know in the comments with 270 dragon stones. Might be, okay, let's just say 250. With 250 dragon stones added to your total, what does your new stone count become? If you want to include the extra stones from the remainder of this Golden Week Part 2, feel free. Either add 250 stones or add 300, whichever one floats your boat. And let me know how many stones you would have going into the 8-year anniversary. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, be sure to subscribe for more Dokkan content in the future and click the notification bell so that you let YouTube know when to see more of my stuff. Do it! Thanks again. Stay tuned and remember to Dokkan responsibly.